Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Trevor Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very much. And as you know, always glad to have in studio with us, Mr. Earl Eues. Hey, Earl, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Keith, great to be here again.
All right, we appreciate it, of course. Earl, Chairman Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. And you know, Earl, I like the fact that we kind of talk about where things stand. You know, we know COVID's not going anywhere. But it's really kind of nice to hear about some kind of mild cases here of late. Is that what you're hearing as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think people, have some mild case. You know, we were just talking before the show, typically when you had a fever, you typically stayed home because you knew you were contagious, with
Right.
the flu or some other illness. I think what we're finding now is that people are having COVID, but they're not having any fever.
Right.
And then they're feeling bad for a couple of days, and they're debating, should I go to work, or should I stay home? If you're at that point where you're debating, you probably should take a test.
Yeah. Right.
And determine whether or not you have COVID or not, so you don't spread it to your coworkers. I think free kits are still available on the CDC website. That if you needed a free kit. So, and there's still testing going on in different areas and different
Right.
places. So, if you're in that predicament.
Yeah. And so if you're in that category and you want to get out and you're not sure if you should, get out and go get a test. How about that? Drive over and get a test and just be able to do that. And that I think is kind of helpful because it helps you, it helps your family, it helps everybody kind of know. It's interesting. These allergy season right now, it's kind of interesting with these cold fronts and some of these weather moving through, and we'll talk about weather a little bit more later. But with this weather moving through, we've got people who are dealing with allergies too. And so people who routinely deal with allergies, then they have the question, is this really a typical allergy attack or impact, or could this be something else?
Hey, we get these cold spells, and then we get the spring-like weather.
Oh, right,
and
right.
Then, so the vegetation, some of it starts pollinating,
Right.
with that spring weather, and then we get these storm fronts that come in, and the winds build up pretty strong. I mean, we was on the wind advisory the last couple of days. So
Right.
with that, you got all this pollen in the air, and so people are starting to get these allergy symptoms. So is it really allergies, or do I have the COVID?
Right.
So, I mean, if you're in that situation where you're doubting yourself whether you have one or the other, you probably should test.
Yeah, and I love the fact that we've made COVID a South Louisiana thing. It's the COVID, man. You might have the COVID, and so it's just it's kind of one of those things that just kind of lightens it up a little bit. But again, it's nice to see that we're not having to report these numbers and percentages, and we're not really even told a whole lot about if there are people. There's very few that are hospitalized, and we're just not seeing that impact. Thank God, like we did.
Mardi Gras is coming up. So we're going to be around a lot of people doing Mardi Gras. Now's a good time to think about going to get your booster if you needed it, because if you're going to be around a lot of people, which most of us will be for Mardi Gras, it's probably wise to get your booster and have a little more immunity.
Yeah, just again, build up that immunity. We're having that herd immunity, and I think we've kind of seen that some in our area. But we're also around with not only Mardi Gras, but it's Mardi Gras and Mardi Gras with festivals, and we've got a lot of things. There's this king cake festival that's coming up.
Yeah.
They got
I'm interested.
23 king cakes, Earl. 23.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I know that's right. So you can go and taste, and I've been told it's going to be a Jell-O shot size. So it's like Jell-O. It's a king cake shots. What are you going to get? I'm getting a few king cake
So
shots.
where is that going to be?
It's going to be in downtown Thibodaux.
Okay.
So really exciting about that. And so just some support. It goes to support our teachers, and I can just tell you a little bit more about that. But it's a Saturday, February the 4th. It's from 2 to 5 or so. They got a little children's parade, but at downtown Thibodaux, and the money is kind of being gone through the Fuchs Education Foundation. They give out monies for teachers.
Oh, okay.
They raise money for that. It's just really cool. So it's a great opportunity. We're going to spend some more time talking with them again, hopefully next week, where we can kind of talk about all the monies that they raise and where it goes. It's always nice when we find out some of these organizations that are really supporting the area and supporting the people that are, the teachers, really making a difference for our kids, and how that relates to keeping them educated about what to do. Our school systems is another one of those places where all the activities are up and running, and want to be vigilant with the kids too. If they're not feeling good, let them stay home.
Yeah.
And if they go more than a day or so or 2 days without feeling good, get tested.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the school system's doing a great job in keeping the COVID numbers down, and they, they still have the hand sanitizers out. They still, making sure that students are washing their hands, and so and we've seen that. We haven't had to close any schools.
That is
now.
correct. That is correct.
So we're in a better place today than we were 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago when COVID started. So.
Right. And we're progressing with that. The things that are different, and we'll spend a little time talking about this in the next segment, is some of these weather events. And so, I don't know that I can remember a time when we had a freeze, and a pretty long-standing freeze, several days, followed by some really severe weather and thunderstorms like we experienced this week. And so, and to couple with that, and again, we'll talk about it, with so many more people in these temporary housing, freeze was one thing, and it's just one of those things that reminded me this week that there are still people that are feeling the impact from the freeze. And then we have this storm system that comes through that, for me, my niece, who is a school teacher and a coach over in Pasadena, the school got hit by at least one tornado. And it caused, major damage, tore up all 3 of their outdoor fields, knocked over several buildings. The kids were sheltered in place, not a single injury, because those teachers did such a good job, and the school did such a good job. But this was a scary storm.
Yeah, well, and the Weather Service is getting better and better at predicting these systems. So we knew 3 days out, at least 3 days, that we're going to have bad weather
Right.
Coming when it did. So, but we was also in what we call an enhanced threat, which is a number 3.
Okay.
So typically it was reverse order. Typically the number 3s are up to the north of us, and it goes from 3, 2, 1, and we're usually in that marginal area.
Right.
But it just happened to be flipped this time
So
to
1,
where
2,
we
3.
was in the
Okay.
in the 3. So that's 3 out of 5.
Right.
On having severe weather, but. We were fortunate. Our office starts watching these storms as they come into the Lake Charles area. We start paying attention to what's going on all the way from Lake Charles till it gets to us. So we kind of got an idea when that front's going to come through. We got a pretty good idea what kind of damages are taking place before it gets to us.
Right.
So it kind of gives us an idea what we can expect when it gets here. So, but the most important thing is the National Weather Service with the new technology and these Doppler radars. They can do these radar indicated circulations, and they can see these things on the radar, and then they'll issue a tornado warning. And so people don't understand the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning.
Let's talk a little bit about the difference between those.
So under a tornado watch, what the Weather Service is saying is that your area could be susceptible to tornadic activity.
Right.
Okay.
The weather
So
system has the potential for generating.
that's correct. And usually these tornado watches may extend for 5 or 6 hours.
Right.
Okay.
As that weather comes through.
As the weather's coming through. So they'll continue to, and they'll say, hey, your area is under a tornado watch. It's under a tornado watch. Well, if there is a sighting of a tornado or a radar indicated tornadic activity on their radar system, they will issue what they call a tornado warning, which means that there is possibly a active tornado on the ground in your area.
Near you. There's
you.
something near you.
And
shelter in place.
If you were around on Tuesday evening when it got late, a tornado,
right before 10 o'clock.
A warning was issued around 10 o'clock. Everybody's cell phone usually goes off with the WEA warnings. If you have a weather radio, which I always preach people to have, that went off saying, hey, your area is now in a tornado warning. Please seek immediate shelter. All right, they're telling you and giving you enough warning to go to your safe place that you have decided beforehand.
That's correct. Already established.
Already established in your home. So, for instance, Tuesday night at 10 o'clock when the tornado warning came out, I'm sitting in my office watching 4 different screens.
Enclosed in the middle of your house.
In my house, and then my wife and the dog, she took the dog with her, they went into the closet. And they stayed there until that tornado warning is canceled or
Right.
lifted.
Right.
Okay, which maybe 15,
Yeah,
20
yeah,
minutes.
it was about 10:25, 10:30.
Yeah, so about 30 minutes. They stayed in that safe area until it's lifted. And so the thing they don't do though, and I wish they would, is send out another warning saying that
It's canceled.
it's been canceled.
Right.
But I guess they don't do that because the confusion.
Right,
Okay.
and they don't want the two alert systems meaning two different things.
And one of the reasons they really don't do that is because with the cell phone systems, you may be on different towers. So the tower in your area, you may be cleared in that area, but the other tower may not be cleared.
Yeah.
So they would get mixed messages. So I just tell
timing.
people to keep track, have a little radio with you so you can hear what's going on.
Listen and follow.
And listen. But that, waiting to hear the noise before you go into your safe place
Bad idea.
is not good, because by the time you hear that noise, it's too late.
Yeah. By the time you hear the noise, you're hearing the active tornado at your dwelling or at your
Right. When
place.
people say they hear the freight train and the whistling and all of that, it's too late.
Yeah.
When they issue that tornado warning, you need to go to your safe place.
Yeah, and just go and snuggle up, be close to your family. My wife and two dogs and I in the middle of the closet, in the middle of the house. My parents did a great job, both a little bit more mature in age. They went into the most secure room in the bathroom. They knew it, and my dad was in the shower, to quote a movie from the 90s. They were in the shower. But we did have some tornadic event in Raceland, and we were able to go and cover that a little bit.
In Bayou Blue.
Right, Bayou
Yeah.
Blue.
A few houses
Jason
were
went and covered
damaged
that for
over
us.
there.
Yeah.
They had a motorhome that was flipped over. So we also got reports that they could hear it over Broadmoor.
Okay.
Okay,
But
it
we
wasn't
didn't see any damage,
it wasn't
didn't
on
touch
the
down.
ground.
Right.
Okay, and then we think it didn't go touch the ground until it got to around the Bayou Blue area. I did ride around the Broadmoor area. There are a lot of tree limbs down.
Right,
So the wind did pick up in that area, but it just didn't hit the ground.
Yeah, and so we're fortunate, but we're also fortunate that we have these alert systems, and we have people like you letting us know and preparing us for what to do and how to get better at it.
Yeah,
So
and
we
there's
appreciate it.
other options. We have a Facebook page, and we also have an app that people can go to get information.
Appreciate it very much, Earl, as always. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. A lot more Bayou time when we continue.